So you're probably wondering what this weird bald teenager can offer as value to your coaching business. And I mean, fair. I made this as a boring video. I only expected to get anywhere between 25 to 100 views. But if you're one of the lucky people that clicked on this video and you run a coaching business, I'm going to show you how I manage 1,134 active clients with my coaching business in the SMMA space that does about 160K a month. So I did this all without sacrificing time with family and friends, sacrificing time for hobbies, and sacrificing any other aspects of the company. And really, it wasn't always like this. I used to spend 12 hours chained to my desk every single day, really just checking Slack every 5 minutes, praying that there wasn't a problem with a client dispute, refund, or even like a complaint from a team member, just a slave to the product and every single client that we had signed. And it led to other departments becoming less effective and overall our product becoming worse because I was the equivalent of a guy trying to tread water but really not knowing how to swim. And slowly but painfully, I built the anti-system system for working with clients over the next 6 months. And once it was complete, every single client received 60 plus minutes of weekly personal one-on-one consulting every single week, 60 minutes of group coaching every single weekday. So they got 5 times per week, 24/7 open Slack channel support to answer any question they had, which massively improved client accountability and success rates. And I got to refocus all my time into purely improving the product, creating upsells, continuations, recurring revenue, and growing a legitimate business instead of a sales company. So I'm gonna give it to you all the way today for free, and you'll get the peace of mind to finally begin enjoying client work again and reignite the Kindle that you had, but you started your coaching business in the first place to focus on getting insane client transformations and case studies. Then the ability to turn your sales company once again into a legitimate business that really just has an insanely high LTV so you can stop having to chase new revenue and get reset to zero every single month. So it sounds like why you clicked on my face for this video. I'd like you to trade a little bit more of your time and I'll give you all these things away, a task list and just a step-by-step copy of how to receive the system. And trust me, I promise you this is going to be an extremely boring video, but you're gonna get all those things. So without further ado, let's dive in all the way back up to what we'll be covering, which is gonna be product positioning, the silent killer, team positioning, day-to-day operations, client and team facing, and the task list to implement in a secret book I read. So first things first, we've got our product positioning, what to deliver. Product positioning should be the most simple aspect of your business. You've got 3 simple options. You've got an info product course with modules similar to how Iman Gadzhi did the Agency Navigator. You've got one-on-one consulting where you're having someone externally or yourself spend time with clients to have them go through a transformation. Then you have asset creation, templates, and done for you where someone can get something, receive something to actually plug into their company immediately. And my company, first Relentless Success Club and then Catalyst Holdings, went through each of these phases here. And I'll tell you that it is no different what kind of client results you get. It is purely something that you just need to know so that you know what weapons you have in order to actually get results. Write down everything the client receives from you once you got this figured out. So the documents that they get, the modules that they consume, the softwares that they have access to, all in order so you can map out practically what a client gets from you. And no, these are not the transformations that occur. No, these are not the mindset shifts that go on. It is purely what they receive on a practical basis so that you know what you can fill up those things with and actually have someone get results. From that point on, once you've done that, I want you to go and figure out what your expectations of clients are. So this is the hardest part about nailing your delivery, but is also the only barometer that you have for success. The quality of your product doesn't really matter if your expectations are just absolutely through the roof. You can never really attain them. It also really doesn't matter if your expectations are quite low and you still manage to get people to buy at a good rate and your product just delivers above that, because expectations equal reality. And that is the pure standalone equation for having an amazing product. Clients are only ever going to be disappointed, unhappy, or complain in any way, shape, or form if the expectations of what they were hoping to receive differs from the reality of what they ended up getting. So in order to figure out what actually creates client expectations, we have to dive into the first principles and go through all these contributing factors, which are the ads they've watched, the organic content, the landing page, the appointment setter, the salesperson, the onboarding, and then the reinforced client journey that they go through. There's 7 things, and I tried to uproot all of them at the same time when I first found out about this, and it bit me in the ass, and it really didn't end up well. So what you want to do is you want to pick the ones that have the highest impact, because they're not all equal. And I'm going to let you learn from the mistakes I did and do it all while being operationally a fly on the wall so that the rest of your business runs as is. And the best way to do that is by first tackling the onboarding, then the headline, which is pretty much the prime aspect of your marketing, and then finally the salespeople, because what happens from that is the onboarding gets dialed and then new clients end up having good expectations. Then when you shift the marketing, because you know the onboarding works, then you're going to start to get leads at the same quantity. And then the salespeople are going to be forced to adapt because the people that they're now speaking with have new expectations in their mind. And it's super simple, but it must be done in that order. So to show you our onboarding presentation itself, let me actually dive in and just quickly click through all these slides. You can templatize this, steal it however you'd like, but I'm not going to be super quick, so just pause the video on each slide if you'd like. Mission, story, accelerator, alumni, why you're here, we tie back into the sales process, more case studies, walk through all our team, pumping up their frame and what they've actually achieved, a timeline, which is very important, and then walking through each deliverable with the actual goal that it attains. And then from that point on, one of the final, most funny and actual pivotal parts of getting an onboarding to go well is to flip the locus of control. So what I mean by that is typically with an info product, they are going to go for growth, right? Someone's looking to learn a skill in some way, shape, or form. But the bad thing about growth for the person that's actually providing the coaching is that a lot of the time it constitutes pain. And the issue is that when we get client complaints, refunds, disputes, whatever it might be, what they're doing is they're pointing this pain at you. And the way to avoid it is to have them point the pain at themselves. And what's funny is that by pointing the pain at themselves, it's not this malicious thing where now you've scammed them and tricked them. You've given them control to actually turn themselves into a transformation and a success with the given thing. If they blame you, it doesn't help anyone. Everyone leaves as a loser when this happens. So what we do, and one of the things that we picked up, is we have them literally on the call. They'll stand up with their camera on, and then they will put their hand over their heart and they will read this out. And I'm not going to read it right now, but you can implement something like this as well. And it's going to be super beneficial to just nail down the concept of, hey, you need to be completely accountable yourself for everything that you have as if you were an individual. And that's actually going to create the help. And then we're just going to continue to provide you value. And that's how you actually get results. But making sure we reinforce that we're not just a magic pill when they buy, because a lot of the time, if you don't have experienced salespeople, that's what's going to happen, and it's going to cause us a lot of pain on the back end, and honestly, not even be that profitable if we're not running ads at a crazy return on ad spend. But that's tangent. What I want you to do is now templatize, mimic the onboarding flow, and especially the frame of flipping the accountability back onto them. Phase 3, team positioning and the hires to make. So after you control what a client expects from your delivery, the next job is to find out how to deliver it consistently without your direct involvement. That's very important, because I promise you, if you just had one client or 2 clients or 3 clients and it was you who was working with them, you'd be able to get all of them good results and there wouldn't be complaints or yada, yada, yada. The problem that you're likely facing right now, I've clicked on this video, is you either have, too many clients, your numbers are too high, or your team is just not good enough, or maybe both, and then you've got a big problem to solve. So what you want to do is there's 2 to 3 hires that you can make that are going to save 10 to 20 hours of working time per week from you without even impacting your margin significantly. And even if you look at the business on a long-term perspective, they might make the margin better. So here are the potential kinds of hires that you can make, and you want to pick it based on the model that you have. So first things first is we have the advisor. The advisor is someone who becomes primarily responsible for a client, kind of like a consultant. In the early stages of coaching, if you're doing one-on-one consulting with people, this is going to be you yourself. They are directly speaking with and providing value to the customer. They're cultivating a relationship, and they're completing contract value. This is the person that owns it. So when a client gets a bad result, they say, this is on me. When a client gets a good result, they say, this is on me. I did this. The second kind of hire that we can make is the customer success manager. So this is the person who does the boring and the repetitive stuff that is equally as important, but is responsible for not just one individual client and then repeat that many times. They look from a general perspective of all clients that they have. So to show you what that looks like, I'll go CSM here and then advisor here. The CSM looks at a whole bunch of clients like this and sees them as an umbrella. The advisor goes like this and they see each client as an individual relationship that they're connected to. And depending on the model you have, you're going to want different people. So if you have an info product or a course, right, the CSM is going to make more sense. You can have people that oversee every single part of your client, and what they'll do is they'll focus on things such as accountability and data. And then your way of improving the product and delivering client results and overcoming client complaints and improving it over time is going to be looking at this data and then improving the course or the modules. If you have this model and you're working with people directly and you want to continue to do that, and you're hiring people to continue working with people directly, then the way to improve is going to be by spending time training your team. And instead of focusing on external things like the course, you want to spend time creating internal documents or trainings and spending time with people so that they have the ability to go out to your customers and achieve better results. It doesn't make a difference which of these two you do, but as you work in this model right here, you're eventually going to also want to stack on a CSM to make their lives easier so that your advisors can work with more people. From that point on, some pitfalls that I made with hiring team members in order to leverage out my delivery. First things first is paying them a percentage or a scaling ratio. The issue with this is that, as I mentioned, it will not impact your margin significantly. If you make this mistake, it will impact your margin significantly. Because what happens is if we have money and then time or their pay, what happens is as our revenue grows like this, so does their pay, and it will go like this. And yes, I understand that as you start a company, you want to have people that are equally as committed and driven as you. However, the issue comes that when they're simply doing base client delivery, and when you get to high numbers, they're getting paid $20,000 a month for something that has a market value of $3,000 a month, it becomes very hard to remove them because you're now emotionally connected, your clients are emotionally connected, and it's just not a good situation at all. What's better to do is to take the graph of client delivery and you want to instead set cliffs. So let's say your revenue grows in the exact same way. What you want to do is you want to set targets for them increasing their pay. And you can set them at each point where they'll still end up making good money, but they have to actually work in order to get there. And you decide when it's done right so you don't just mess up your finances because of the structure that you have your company in. The next thing is too quick to promote. These people have to be able to deliver client results consistently for months and months and months on end. Having 1 month or 2 good weeks of performance or a few case studies isn't going to mean much. And a mistake that I personally made was promoting people too quickly, and then as a result, having no one to fill in below them, which just didn't work at all. And the final thing is going to be not setting KPIs. So this ties into the next 2 points, but fundamentally we have back-end people and we have front-end people. And the biggest problem that I noticed with myself as a back-end manager and then as a back-end person is that there were just no numbers of what actually constitutes you doing a good job. So do you have a percentage of effectiveness that they need to get results at? Do you have a dispute tracker or a refund tracker so that you can say, hey, you're causing a lot of clients to be upset. Why can we solve this? Or how can we solve this? This is extremely important, and you have to treat them like a sales team. Remember also that they do not have the risk appetite of a sales team. So what that means is that they're looking for consistency, and you simply need to find the balance between on the far left-hand side here, which is just going to be maintain. So maintaining, just showing up to work, going through the motions, et cetera, and then growth. Because you can't be all the way on the maintaining side or else they'll never get better and grow, but you can't be all the way on the growth side or else you're going to end up overpaying them for a job where they're not really risking anything and just having clients given to them. However, you can take all that into account yourself. That is the primary action when hiring a team and the 2 kinds of hires that you can make. Next thing is going to be day-to-day operations. So I want to walk you through a little bit of our client access points and also the go high level flows that we use. So first things first, if I go to my Slack right here and I click in, you can see here we have all of the clients that we have actively serviced organized into a section just like this. If I were to click into any example of one like this, you'll see that the client communication that we have over time with them and accountability happening day over day. Again, if we click into another new onboard, just like this, you'll see when they get onboarded as part of our process, we have ourselves introduce, say hello, whatnot, and get them kickstarted. The next thing is going to be our actual deliverables over here. So I want to keep it super simple. This is something you do not need to overcomplicate. First thing we have is onboarding call reminders. When someone comes in, we just send them text, emails, hey, your onboarding is at this time, same way that you do a sales process. Then from that point on, we just have a whole bunch of different calendars that we use in order to organize who is scheduling for what. And fundamentally, all you have to do is have all these calendars organized in the pin channel of Slack, and you'll be good to go. The back end and delivery of it is not too hard. You can do this with Calendly or any other software. This is not too important. What is important is having good team-facing operations. So this, without a doubt, was the best thing that I did for my coaching business. And if you're able to implement, it is going to help you. I can't even put into words how much. So let me dive into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go through is the CSM responses. So this is something I spent 20 minutes on, but ended up saving me a ridiculous amount of time. So to show you how it works, every single other hour, what we do is we'd have a message from this bot, which you can get on your own Slack, called SupBot. It's completely free. What happens is it sends in a message to our CSM and it asks him if every client has been responded to. And part of the accountability and the frame that we set with him was that, okay, when this happens, you have to respond to each and every single one of these. You're going to receive the message. You don't have to do it yourself. You just have to respond to the message. And it constitutes that all the clients that are above it have been responded to and taken care of. And this absolutely made our lives 20,000 times easier because, as you can see here, when there's something that we need to go over and check, it's immediately called out and caught here within hours. And worst case scenario, we can go through and log and check everything that we have. The first thing is you want to set up a similar system for your CSM. And if you don't have a CSM, set up something similar for yourself on your calendar with just set response times. So what we got here is set up response times. The next most important thing that we're going to be covering is actually how to set up a customer dashboard. So if I head down here and show you, this is an example Monday board that I made. So I was going to track all my customers and clients that I have. First things first is you just want to give it a generic name, something like clients. I mean, self-explanatory stuff. But once you have your actual board created, and you can use Airtable or anything else that you'd like, but you want to pretty much set an advisor. You'd also maybe want to add a CSM here, but the most important dates to track, as I can write down here, are going to be, first things first is going to be the date onboarded. So we're going to track the date that they got onboarded. Then we're also going to track the next payment due from them on the contract value. So that's extremely important. So we got next payment. And then additional to next payment, we're also going to simply be tracking, let me go here, onboard, next payment, and then the final thing that we're going to track is amount collected so far. So I kid you not, this is literally how simple it needs to be. You can track all this for clients, and this is a multi-seven-figure company and how we run everything in our customer dashboard. It's all manual. We manually update it. We just check it once per day, every single day on the team meeting. And that's allowed us to stay on top of every single client payment that we have just by making it a consistent habit to check. And that's how you set up a customer dashboard. If you not have one already, you're probably missing out on a lot of money. We were missing out on over $50,000 when we didn't have this, and it stung quite a bit. So from that point on, the next thing to do is go through the team meetings. So on team meetings, this is going to be where you fine tune everything that you covered beforehand. So the first things first you're going to do when you cover on team meetings is go through all clients. This is a non-negotiable. All clients need to be covered, or else what's the even point of being on the meeting? You're checking in with all the clients. This is a daily meeting, by the way. So to write this here, this is 5x weekly, all on weekdays. On weekends, it's fine. You don't need to have the meetings. And then it's going to last about 30 minutes. And I'd have one 60-minute meeting per week as well, just to dive in with everyone. First things first, we're going to go through all clients. This should take about 10 to 15 minutes. This will leave us with another 15 minutes or so to go through. What we're going to do then is we're going to talk feedback. So we want to find a way to improve and remedy every client that's not doing extremely well. Part of going through all the clients is they're going to have to score on a scale of 1 to 10 how the client's actually doing. So if the client, apologies about that, if the client is anywhere below a 7, we just dive in, okay, well, why is the client below a 7? What can we do to change this, et cetera, et cetera. Talk feedback. Then we create daily actionables, so things that they actually have to do as a result of everything that we covered. And then finally, we also make these for ourselves to implement into the overall product, so we don't have to continuously solve this one-time problem again. We can just solve it for once and it will be done forever and good to go. And these meetings are extremely important. These are run daily, and the process of simply identifying and bringing every single client to light every single day and just asking why they're not seeing success is going to be the biggest thing to skyrocketing the LTV that you collect from them, and then also just the accountability to make sure that everyone is doing well. Next thing is going to be the task list to implement all this. So I appreciate you watching this video so far. The action steps first, you're going to have to list your deliverables. Then you're going to control client expectations following the onboarding deck. You're going to make the hires where needed. Then you're going to implement the basic call structuring. And then finally end it off by doing the responses that we have, in addition to also covering everything on the team meeting so you consistently get better day in, day out. And I promise you, mindset principles for implementing this is that you only have to allow yourself to work 1 hour per day max working directly with clients. Only check Slack at direct and set times, and let the pain of this problem burning for the first 3 to 7 days be the motivation to dial in and creatively work with your team members in order to solve this. If you do not escape from this problem, it is going to eat your company alive. And the best way to do that is by setting times where you only check Slack, again, spending 60 minutes, and then finally letting the pain of the problem make a fire get lit under your ass to fix it. And how we did that was spending time with team members individually to train them so that they can solve it, which didn't constitute working directly with clients. So it was good to go. It's kind of a cheating, but whatever. So if you enjoyed this video, thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope the value that I provided was worth the time that I stole from you. Have a good one.